to the Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's going on, guys? It is TNT Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NFL Edition, Week 11. With me, as always, is co-host and fine citizen, as he likes to call me, Mr. Jacob Workman. Jake, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Lions went on the road, got another nice win.
Eat 'em up.
7-2. Tough to be angry at that.
That's right. Eat them up. Eat them up. Cowboys also had a big win, so happy week for us. Going into last week's results, Jake finished 5-9. I finished 8-6. We both had our locks hit. Workman locked in on Detroit. I locked in over Dallas. So we both went hometown and both hit our locks. Overall records for the year. Jake is 72, 76, and 2. I have finally surpassed that 500 mark or got back to it. I don't know where we were at earlier in the year, but I am now sitting at 75, 73, and 2. We talked about this a little bit last week, but overall, not to pat our own backs, but relatively impressive considering we're picking these games on a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, well before the Sunday deadline. So, yeah. What were your thoughts on what happened last week? We're going to talk about a couple of these games here, but anything you'd like to call out?
A few surprises, I guess. I didn't really expect Denver to outright win at Buffalo, even though I've been down on the Bills a lot. My guy Jameis was back in action. I loved seeing that. Dan Campbell's testicular area, I believe, touched the turf at SoFi while he was standing it straight up. What some of the calls he was going with, and Ben Johnson, I'm absolutely
Quote of the year.
Absolutely love Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell. Like, if you can't get behind what those guys are doing, we had a 4th and 6, and they ran the ball right up the middle for a first down. Like, I love what they're doing. They are my type.
You gotta love it, man.
100%. Yes, like they're I don't know. They're my type of coaches. I love what they're doing. What else happened this week? Thursday night, I believe, was shit. I don't remember who played, but I remember it was awful. Cleveland, Baltimore. Cleveland, Baltimore was awesome. Schwartz got the guys there at the end. Nice defense stand. Deshaun kind of came back to life. It was nice to see Cleveland get that win. That's really about it for the week. Unfortunately, Minnesota won again with Dobbs. I'm not too happy about that, but
yeah. So let's jump into that one. So the Joshua Dobbs shows continued with his home debut as the Vikings beat the Saints 27-19. Dobbs finished 23 of 34 for 268 and a passing touchdown, while complimenting his passing game with 8 carries for 44 yards and another score. TJ Hawkinson had a huge game. He had 11 catches for 134 and a score, and Ty Chandler accounted for the other Vikings touchdown. You talked about it just a little bit here. Your boy Jameis Winston came in. He did seem to make a difference to start. He tossed 2 really high difficulty passes for touchdowns.
Yeah.
But then he threw a couple dead ducks and had 2 picks there towards the end of the game. Yep. Chris Olave had a decent game. He finished with 6 receptions for 94 and a score, but it wasn't enough to secure a win. The Saints have still yet to win a game against an opponent with a winning record. The Vikings are on a 5-game winning streak, and their remaining schedule are the Broncos, Bears, Raiders, Bengals, Lions, Packers, and Lions again. Justin Jefferson sounds like he is moving into practice mode, so should be back here within the next week or 2 is what it sounds like. They haven't announced a timetable yet.
I think what Schefter said was expect him back for the Bears game next.
So there you go. So we're looking 2 weeks from now for Justin Jefferson to be back. If this team stays healthy the rest of the way, do you think the Vikings are making the playoffs?
So I'll do a little rundown here through the schedule and just kind of give my thoughts. So at Denver Sunday Night Football, I kind of like Denver's resurgence. I think that's going to be a tough game for Minnesota to go and play. I do like Denver in that one. I think they will come back home to beat the Bears. So that's 1-1. At Vegas, that's kind of a toss-up. I'm actually probably going to swing Vegas there. So that's 1-2. At Cincinnati, no, 1-3. We'll give them a split with the Lions. So that's 2-4. They are home against Green Bay. So that's 3-4. I'll give them that. So that's 3-4 to finish the year. So no, I don't think that would be enough to pass the Lions in the division. So no, I don't think they'll make the playoffs with that. What's their current record? What do they stand at right now?
They're 6-4.
So 6-4, and what did I said? 3-4.
3-4.
So that'd be 9-8.
9-8.
9-8. 9-8 actually might backdoor into the NFC.
Yeah.
That's tough then.
Right now, they're currently sitting in the 7th spot in the playoff picture.
Yeah, so 9-8. That's going to be really close. I would still probably say no. That I don't think that would get them in. Well,
we've got.
I'm going to pull up the NFC standings real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, I can tell you, we've got the Eagles are currently number 1. Obviously, they're the best team in the league right now. Lions are 2, Niners are 3, Saints are 4. So there's your top 4.
Seahawks.
Your 3. Well, yeah, and then you've got the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the Vikings. Right now are the 3 wild card teams. On the bubble, we have the 4-5 Bucks, the 4-6 Commanders, the 4-6 Falcons, and then you get into the Packers, Rams, Bears, teams that are not going to make it.
Yeah. God. What an awful. So they do already have like a 2-game lead then, essentially. Maybe they do. Man.
I think they make it. I think they're going to be the last team in the NFC.
They might be the 7. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess if I were to say right now, I would say yes. I think they would be the 7 at 9-8. Which would be interesting if the Lions are the 2, because then they're just going to play for a third time.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the way they're playing right now, I see the Vikings making the playoffs. I mean, there's still a lot of games left, but.
Yeah, that schedule is tougher than I thought it was going to be, though. And that's splitting with the Lions. I think we're a lot better than they are, but we'll give it a split just because it's divisional. But
is the first or the second game in Detroit?
I believe the first one is in Detroit, I think. Let me go back to it.
So they could be playing for their playoff life against Detroit in Minnesota in the last game of the year.
Yeah, hold on just a second. I'm trying to get it. I had it up and then I switched to the playoff thing. It is. So they play home against Detroit on Christmas Eve. Then they go New Year's Eve home against Green Bay. And then the final game of the year, January 7th, is at Detroit.
So it's in Detroit. Okay.
Yeah, to finish the year, they're in our place. So.
Well, that's going to be even more interesting because if you're calling for a split, I'm assuming that you're going to call the split being that the game that they play in Minnesota is more likely to win, and then Detroit gets the home game because Detroit tends to play better at home.
Not necessarily. Not in these games. We play them so much that we split in different areas all the time. Like there's times we win in Minnesota and they come to Detroit and win. It's one of those things with them that I will say if that game matters, and it probably will. That will be the most raucous Ford Field has ever been. So that's that could be one thing to tie into that last game in Detroit. But
the only other thing to think about there is if the Lions are already in the 2 seed and the game is irrelevant to them, do you sit starters and then it becomes an easier game for Minnesota to win?
Yeah, I think we would if that was the case, but I can't really foresee a scenario that game doesn't matter. I mean, I guess we would have it clinched, but the 1 seed with the way our schedule is, the 1 seed might be in play still. I mean, it's a legit possibility.
Yeah, Philly doesn't have an easy schedule for the rest of the year, so it's definitely possible.
And we do.
This could be
yeah.
The Lions could be a 1. That is insane, by the way, that the Lions could be the 1 seed in the NFC.
If the playoffs go through Ford Field, that's crazy.
Yeah, we might have to make a trip to Detroit for that.
Insane.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. Vikings are on a 5-game winning streak. They're looking to make it 6 in a row when they play Denver this week, and we'll talk about that game here shortly. The other game we want to talk about is the other one that Workman highlighted here, which is what happened last night as the Denver Broncos walked into Buffalo and beat the Bills 24-22. Russell Wilson had a really efficient game. He finished 24-29 for 193 and 2 touchdowns in the air. He also had 9 carries for 30 yards. Javonte Williams took more of a workload back like he was last year. He finished with 21 carries. Cortland Sutton had a good game. He finished with 8 catches for 53 yards and a score. On the other side of the coin, Josh Allen went 15 for 26 for 177, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. James Cook had a really good game. He finished with 109 yards on 12 carries, so super efficient there. The best receiver for the Bills was Dalton Kincaid, who finished with 5 catches for 51 yards on the score. The Bills are now at 5-5, behind the division-leading 6-3 Dolphins. They just fired their OC, Ken Dorsey, after the game last night. They named Joe Brady interim OC. AFC playoff picture. The Chiefs, Ravens, Jags, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and Texans all currently have better records than the Bills. The Raiders and Colts are tied at 5-5 with them. Josh Allen now leads the league in interceptions with 11, and he had 3 turnovers in last night's game if you count that fumbled handoff to James Cook. Buffalo's remaining schedule is home against the Jets, at Philly, at KC, home against Dallas, at Chargers, home against the Patriots, which isn't necessarily a shoe-in game because they tend to play the Bills pretty well, and then at Miami.
The New England already beat them once.
Yeah, I know. So where do you this is kind of like Workman wisdom here because you called Buffalo having a down year before the season started.
Yeah.
Where do you see this final record? Because right now,
not good.
Yeah, they sit at 5-5. I don't think they're going to be at 500 by the end of the year.
So they're 5-5 right now.
Yep.
So I'm going to give them this week 6-5. Lost to Philly 6-6. Lost to KC 6-7. Lost to that is a home game against Dallas. Allen's, I think, just too many turnovers in that game, though. So what's that? 6-7. I think
6-8.
6-8. I think they will beat the Chargers, so I'll give them 7. They'll probably beat New England and then lose to Miami. So that'd be what, 8-9.
Yep.
So yeah, under 500, no playoffs. Pretty sure I was
Insane.
on the no playoff train a long time ago. For Buffalo,
yeah, you were on the no playoff train before the season started. So kudos to you. Right now, the playoff picture on the AFC side, the Chiefs are sitting at 1. The Baltimore Ravens are at 2. Jacksonville's at 3. Miami is at 4. The Steelers are at 5. Cleveland is at 7 or at 6, excuse me. And the Houston Texans are at 7 right now. On the bubble, we have the Bengals who are sitting at 5-4. The Colts are at 5-5 and the Bills are at 5-5. So currently they're sitting in the 10th spot with 7 spots available. So we'll see how things shake out, but I don't see the Bills making the playoffs, and I'll be surprised if they finish above 500. I don't know. I'm cooling off on Josh Allen, man. I don't. He's
ever since he lost Dayball, it's been downhill.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think Brady is the answer.
No, and Brady got a rise to fame because he was the quote offensive coordinator of the greatest. No, I should have never said that. The second greatest college football offense ever. And that team, clearly, they're the stars of the NFL right now. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have been that offensive coordinator and we would have done just as good. So, he went to Carolina with Matt Rule. He got fired pretty much instantly. He's just been kind of bopping around the league. He is what he is. He's a name at this point. He's not that great. So, we'll see what happens, but I'm not expecting anything great out of Brady.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. I don't. It's rough in Buffalo right now. All right. Before we jump into week 11 picks, I did want to call out one quick thing here. For those of you who don't know, Hard Knocks in season was announced not too long ago. The Miami Dolphins are going to be highlighted in the in season, and that starts on November 21st. You are not a football fan if you do not love listening to Mike McDaniel talk about football. That dude is so fun to listen to. I don't know if you saw the interview. This clip's been going around, but some dude from like Britain or something started asking him about his schemes, and his reaction was so genuine and like he was excited about it. And then he started talking about how he implemented some Shanahan stuff with Tua's back to the ball, and it was cool. It was really, really cool. But I'm loving this. This is the best Hard Knocks season I think I've looked forward to since the Cowboys on my side of the equation. I also love Detroit. That gave an opportunity for everybody to meet Dan Campbell and see how awesome he is.
To get MCDC last year in the preseason Hard Knocks, and now this year to get McDaniel in the in season, like that's a great combo. He's excellent.
Yeah, and the preseason this year was good with the Jets. I mean, with all Aaron Rodgers stuff, that was fun to watch.
Yep.
And big fan of Robert Salah.
My guy Jalen Ramsey's going to be on it too, so that's going to be good.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's a goofball, so that should be fun. Yeah, this is good. This is going to be really, really fun. If you are not familiar with watching Hard Knocks and you're a football fan, you should definitely check it out. All right, guys, let's move into some Week 11 picks here. Our Thursday night matchup is a huge one. AFC North Divisional matchup as the 5-4 Cincinnati Bengals head to Baltimore to face off against the 7-3 Baltimore Ravens. Both of these teams lost their games last week on last-second field goals in games when they were favored as things continue getting interesting in the tightest division in the NFL. The Ravens still lead the division by half game ahead of the Steelers, which is kind of surprising, but the Bengals are in last place and have been hot as of late after a rough start to the year. Baltimore is favored by 3.5.
Yeah, finally, we got a great game on Thursday night. We've been waiting for this for a little bit. Baltimore losing at Baltimore. I think I even said last week at home they've been absolutely dominant all year. Well, that changed last week. This is a tough one. Cincinnati just kind of got, I won't say embarrassed, but kind of surprised on their home field against Houston last week. I kind of like. I like Baltimore at home. I know Cincinnati is another one of those teams that I kind of said I think is out, but I think by default they might end up still making the playoffs. But I do like Baltimore coming back in this one. I like Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals here. It may end up being a 3-point win for the Ravens, but the Bengals are still hot despite that tough loss last week against the Texans. Since he's played well in Baltimore, since Burrow's been on that team, so I'm going to take Cincinnati here plus the points. Our first 1 p.m. game features the 4-5 LA Chargers, who also lost their game last week to a time-expiring field goal at the hands of Riley Patterson and the Detroit Lions. Eat them up as they head to the frozen tundra to match up against the 3-6 Green Bay Packers, who lost 19-23 to the Steelers on Sunday. The Chargers have dropped to third after the Raiders have won their last 2 games, while the Packers are in third in the NFC North and a half game ahead of the Bears. The Chargers are favored by 3.
God. I'm gonna go Chargers. I don't know about the Packers. Like they're very hit miss right now. I thought they were actually going to come back and win that game last week too. That's what was surprising. But I think I'm gonna go Chargers. I think 3 seems like a lot in this, but I will take the Chargers to cover.
Yeah, Green Bay definitely fell flat on the second half of that game. Jordan Love had a couple big mistakes. It's something he's going to have to fix. It more and more, I'm hearing that this may be the only year for Jordan Love, depending on how they move forward in Green Bay. Chargers offense is looking good. Again, the Packers have been kind of sucking as of late. I know it's getting colder in Lambeau, but I don't think it's enough to cool down Herbert, Allen, and Eckler. So I'll roll with LA here minus the 3.
If just before we move on, if Love isn't the quarterback, they should get rid of they should fire the GM. They should fire LaFleur, get rid of Love. That's a disaster what they've created there. That's a franchise that is just known for consistency. For the way they treated Aaron to get him out to turn to this shit, like I would be pissed if I was a Packers fan. The way this is,
I've got a couple friends that are Packers fans, and they are not happy. I work with a couple of guys that work out in Manitowoc, and they're like they're just kind of speechless.
Yeah, it's an absolute disaster. Like I was one of the few people that I actually thought the Packers were going to be all right still, and they kind of started okay, and then my God, I don't know what happened, but it's been horrendous. It's been very bad.
Jordan Love takes too many risks trying to get the ball to Christian Watson. He needs to move the ball around a little bit more. I think he tries to force the ball a little too much, and they need to run the ball. Yeah, I mean, they have Aaron Jones, like
it's awful.
And Dylan's not bad either. Like that's a pretty good 1-2.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Hit. Yeah. So offensive woes continue for the Packers. All right, let's move on to the next one here. The 3-6 Tennessee Titans head south to Jacksonville after an ugly loss to Tampa Bay last week to meet their divisional rival Jacksonville Jaguars, who sit at 6-3 and are coming off their own ugly loss at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. The Titans have yet to win a road game this year and are dead last in the AFC South, while the Jags hold the 1 spot but are only 1 game ahead of the surprising Houston Texans. The Jags are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I want Jacksonville. I think they get back on it here. Tennessee is so hit miss to me. I'm sure we're getting Levis again. 6.5 is a lot for a divisional game, though. I guess that's my one. Yeah, I'm taking Jacksonville. I think they win by 7.
Yeah, I think the problem here right now is that Tennessee's offensive line is in shambles. Jacksonville is also going to come into this game pissed because they got embarrassed and their home
Yeah.
field by the Niners this Sunday. Jags don't get a ton of pressure on the QB, but with these offensive line struggles for Jacksonville, they should be able to hopefully get some pressure on Levis and force him to at least make some mistakes. So I'll take the Jags here to get a divisional win minus the points. All right, the amped up Las Vegas Raiders take their 2 straight wins on the road after beating the Jets 16-12 Sunday night to face the 6-3 Miami Dolphins, who are coming off a bye week. The Raiders have found some success in their 2-game home stretch after firing Josh McDaniels and promoting Antonio Pierce to interim head coach with their 2-game home stretch, while the Dolphins look to bounce back from their previous loss to the Chiefs back in Week 9. The Raiders have moved into second in the AFC West, just ahead of the Chargers, while the Dolphins hold a 1.5-game lead in the AFC East and are undefeated at home this year. Miami is favored by 11.5.
Yeah, I like Miami returning back to it here. I think they can win by 14. I do like what Vegas has done with the coaching change. Clearly they're playing with a little bit of a different edge now that McDaniels is gone, but I think drop the S and give me McDaniel. I like the Dolphins.
Beautifully said, my friend. Beautifully said. I'm with you. I think this is where the Raiders' juice starts to dry out. Miami's coming off a bye. They have the ability to roast this defense on the ground with speed. Couple that with the Dolphins' D getting a little healthier. That can spell trouble for O'Connell. I do love the coaching change. You can see it on the sidelines. These players are much more adjusting and listening to Antonio Pierce. And he's staying fired up on the sidelines and getting these guys motivated. So looking forward to, again, we talked about it last week. Hopefully Antonio Pierce has an opportunity to keep this job if he does, finish the season off with a decent record. But I am going to take Miami here minus the points. Next up, we have the 6-3 Dallas Cowboys hitting the road to Charlotte after throttling the Giants at home 49-17 last week to face the 1-8 Carolina Panthers, who return home after losing to Tyson Bagent in the Chicago Bears. Dallas needs to continue compiling wins as they sit second, 2 games behind the NFC and NFL best 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles, while the Panthers look to get their second win of the season and sit well in dead last in the NFC South. The Cowboys are favored here by 10.5.
This line is amazing to me. I'm taking Dallas, and I don't think it's remotely close.
I'm with you. Great game last week from my boys. The offense is clicking on all cylinders right now. Defense is playing well. Carolina is dealing with the injury bug especially on the defensive side of the ball. Their offense can't keep going. Bryce Young can't keep upright. This should be a very easy W for Dallas. I'll go with Cowboys here minus the points. The 2-8 Arizona Cardinals hit the road after getting a W against the Falcons with the return of Kyler Murray to meet a 5-4 Houston Texans team that returns to Texas after a road win against the Bengals. Arizona has yet to win a game on the road and currently sits last in the NFC West, while the Texans have won 3 of the last 4 at home and are only 1 game behind the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC South. Houston is favored by 4.5.
Yeah, this one's a little tougher with Kyler back. I'm going to take Arizona. I think they can keep it within 3. I don't think they win the game, but I do think they keep it close. I'll take Arizona.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one a little bit. This should be a really fun game to watch, watching Kyler and CJ battle it out.
Yeah.
Both 2 decent quarterbacks. I've really loved watching CJ Stroud develop over the course of his first year. I really hope he doesn't hit a second-year slump like a lot of these quarterbacks tend to do after their rookie season. But Houston's defense has been playing well at home, and I think that can make the difference. I'm going to take Houston here minus the points, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game sticks within 3. An AFC North divisional showdown as the 6-3 Pittsburgh Steelers head to Cleveland after beating the Packers at home to face a Browns team that returns home after a huge win in Baltimore last week against the Ravens. Pittsburgh continues finding ways to win despite being outgained in every game and outscored by a total of 26 points this season, while the Browns continue being in the hunt despite some shaky play and injuries, particularly at the quarterback position. Both teams have won their last 2 and are sitting tied for second. Cleveland is favored by 4.
Yeah, this is another one I see as like a 3-point game. I like Pitt. I think Pitt can win this game outright, and I feel like this is one of those field goal at the buzzer games. So I do like Pitt.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Battle of 2 really old school, solid defensive teams. I don't know how Pittsburgh keeps finding ways to win, but they do. These games always seem to be a toss up, but I like the 4 here. So I'm going to take the Steelers here to keep this within a field goal. Another divisional matchup, this time in the NFC East, as the 2-8 New York Giants continue their road trip after getting pummeled by the Cowboys last week to face a Washington Commanders team that sits at 4-6 and returns home after losing by a field goal as time expired to the Seattle Seahawks last Sunday. Interestingly, the Commanders have actually given up 8 more points than the Giants have this year. The difference, though, Washington has scored 99 more points. These teams sit 3-4 in the 3-4, in the bottom of the NFC East. Commanders are favored by 9.5.
Yeah, I think DeVito sucks. So give me Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito. I don't care who the hell's playing quarterback. I think they're awful. So I'm going Washington. I think they cover and win.
Well, if Danny DeVito were playing, I would be picking the Giants, but I'll be surprised if the Giants get another W this year. Yeah, they're not playing well right now. Saquon's their only weapon that's on the field. He can't be effective when all the attention's on him. Sam Howell's also slinging it right now, and he's making a case to be one of the better quarterbacks to come out of his draft class. This Giants secondary is also god awful, so give me the Commanders here minus the 9.5.
It almost seems like the Giants are with the DeVito are literally tanking. Like you don't really see it in the NFL, but this might be as close to tanking as we've seen.
What do you? I mean, you think they put Barkley in if they're not trying to tank? Like, well, I don't.
No, because of court. Like, what I'm saying is DeVito is not. There's 85 quarterbacks better than DeVito. There's no. I think they're literally tanking, and they want to get one of the good quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, their season's gone, so they have no reason to go find another quarterback in free agency, and the only healthy quarterback they have on the team right now is Barkley.
I mean, he sucks too, but.
Yeah,
he's better than DeVito.
Yeah, well, I guess they either don't see it that way or they're playing.
That's actually a crazy thing. Matt Barkley has survived the NFL longer than I would have ever dreamed he would have. Like he's been in the NFL forever.
Raking in millions of dollars to sit on the bench. It's a hell of a job.
Well, and he came from being the quarterback of USC, where I'm sure he fucking slayed the town before he. I mean, that guy's like fucking living the life. Jesus.
Yeah, 100%. All right, yet another divisional matchup as the 3-7 Chicago Bears hit the road after getting a W last week against the Panthers to meet the 7-2 Detroit Lions. Eat 'em up, who are returning to Motor City after a gutsy call by MCDC paying off at the last-second field goal to win their matchup last week against the Chargers. Chicago sounds like they are going to have Bajent for at least one more week as Justin Fields continues rehabbing, while the Lions look to keep ahead of the streaking Minnesota Vikings, who have won 5 straight. Detroit is favored by 10.
Lions. Easy.
Lions, easy. I like it. That's all
I need to say.
Detroit's offense has been rolling since that Ravens game. This Bears defense is easy to pick apart. I'm taking the Eat 'em up Lions here minus the 10 as well.
Maybe we'll get Ford Field testicular drag this week. We'll see.
They had to fly his nuts in separately.
Yes.
Yeah, man. All right. The first of our 4 p.m. games features the 4-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers hitting the road to Golden Gate City after beating the Titans 20-6 on Sunday to face off against a 6-3 San Francisco 49ers team that just manhandled the Jags in Jacksonville and are getting healthy at the right time. Tampa finally broke that losing streak and looks to stay in contention at a half game behind the New Orleans Saints in the NFC South, while the Niners continue winning and are in first place in the NFC West by a tiebreaker with the Seattle Seahawks. San Fran is favored by 10.5.
Yeah, I could say the same thing for this game. I said for the Lions game, Niners easy. I think they blow them out. I don't think this game's close at all.
Yeah, Tampa has not looked great against better teams in the league, and that's not good when you're traveling to San Fran. The Niners are getting back to being healthy and more dangerous. Expect some pressure on Baker early. Turnovers are going to stack up. I'll take San Fran here minus the points easily. All right, AFC East divisional matchup features the 4-5 New York Jets coming off a 12-16 loss to the Raiders against the 5-5 Bills that we talked about losing a surprising home game against the Denver Broncos on a time-expiring field goal last night. Jets continue to find their footing on offense, leaving Robert Saleh dreaming of better days as they have yet to come with A-Rod behind center, while the Bills continue struggling in the first half of games that leave them playing catch-up in the second half multiple times now to their disadvantage. Both teams have lost their last 2. The Jets are third and a half game behind the Bills for second in the division. Buffalo is favored by 6.5.
Yeah, I'm Buffalo wins. I'm going to give them the cover. I think it's like a 10-point game. I really fear a Jets late touchdown to backdoor this though, but I think I'll take Buffalo to get the cover here.
Yeah, this will probably end up being a tighter game than expected, despite the Jets
Yeah.
having problems on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's likely Buffalo does get the win here, but this may be the Jets' Super Bowl this year, because if they can get 2 wins against Buffalo, that's going to be their bragging rights. I'm going to take the Jets here plus the points to keep it close. The last of our 4 p.m. matchups features the 6-3 Seattle Seahawks heading to LA after securing a win at home last week against the Washington Commanders to face the divisional opponent LA Rams, who sit at 3-6 and are coming off a much-needed bye week. Seattle continues battling to keep atop the NFC West and is in a virtual tie with the Niners, while the Rams are looking to shake their 3-game skid with what sounds like the return of Matthew Stafford and currently sit a game and a half ahead of the Cardinals in third. Seattle is favored by 1.
Yeah, Stafford's back. This is the game week 1 that the Rams went to Seattle and upset them. No one really ever expected them to win that game. That was kind of the Puka Nacua coming out show. I like the Rams. I think they can come out and get this win. Seattle struggled last week in their game. The Rams coming off the bye, obviously going to be more healthy. Stafford might actually be able to feel his thumb. So I do like the Rams to get the win here. We give McVay an extra week to prepare. I like it.
Yeah, that I went back and forth on this game. It's a big divisional matchup. I think Seattle knows they need to keep pace with San Fran. McVay coming off the bye could result in what they would consider a trap game if you look at the schedules here. I'm going to take Seattle here minus the point to get the W, but I would not be surprised at all if the Rams pull this one out at home. Our Sunday night matchup features the red-hot Minnesota Vikings, who are 6-4 and on a 5-game winning streak as they head to Mile High to meet a 4-5 Denver Broncos team that started the season horribly but have maintained composure and are on a 3-game winning streak of their own after winning a huge road game last night against the Bills. Minnesota sits second, a game and a half behind the Lions in the NFC North, while the Broncos are last in the AFC West but are only a half game from second. The question is, will the Pastronaut get his 3rd W in Denver? The Broncos are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, I kind of gave away my pick for this one earlier when I went through the schedule. I'm on Denver to get the cover here. I think it's a little come to earth for Minnesota here.
I think the difference on this is that Denver's coming off a bit of a short week. Minnesota's riding high right now with Dobbs playing lights out. I think the Vikings are the team to beat here. Every week they go on, Dobbs is going to get a little bit more familiar with the playbook. They're going to open it up a little bit more. I'm rolling with Minnesota here plus the points to keep that win streak alive. Monday night, this is a massive showdown at Arrowhead. The 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles are heading to KC to meet the 7-2 Kansas City Chiefs in what could be a preview of yet another Super Bowl. Both of these teams were on bye last week, and this looks to be a fun one as one of the league's best offenses meets one of the league's best defenses. Both teams sit atop their respective divisions. KC is favored by 3 at home. Who wins in the Hurts-Mahomes showdown?
Kelsey Bowl Part 2. This is a good one. Finally, again, primetime games are coming through for us this week. I think it's probably obvious where I'm going here if anyone's listened to any of our shows before. I'm taking the Chiefs minus the 3. And this could go a long, long way to starting the Lions number 1 seed in the NFC. So I like the Chiefs at home. Andy Reid coming off of a bye. The numbers are ridiculous if you were to look that up. I'll take the Chiefs minus the 3.
That is the difference here. I don't like that this is a 3-point spread, but I am not going against Andy Reid on a bye week. He is so dangerous when he has an extra week to prepare for a team. And this Chiefs defense is playing like the best in the league right now at the right time. I'm going with the Chiefs here, minus the points. All right, guys. Bye week teams this week are the Falcons, Saints, Patriots, and Colts. So those are our 4 bye week teams. And now it is time for locks of the week. I am 9-1 in locks this year. Hit my lock last week with Dallas. Workman is 7-3 in locks this year. He hit his lock last week with Detroit. Throw it off here, man. Who are you locking in on this year or this week?
I was gonna go Lions, but I just don't see how you go against Dallas this week. I'm taking Dallas minus the 10.5.
Keep that thing on loop, baby, because I'm locking in on Dallas over Carolina this week too. This offense is looking really good right now. Dan Quinn's got this defense in tight. Deron Bland's playing lights out. A million different reasons why Dallas should win this game handedly. Carolina's injured on the wrong side of the ball. So, yeah, I'm locking in with you. Double lock on Dallas over Carolina minus the points.
One more for the double.
That's right. All right, guys. That is it for week 11 this week. A quick episode here. Workman, you got anything else you want to call out here as we move into week 11?
No, other than let's keep it going at Ford Field this week. In my opinion, this should be an easy one, but you never know. Sometimes the old Lions like to show up, so we'll see what happens. But so far, so good. I love what I'm seeing. Keep it rolling and eat them up, Lions. Eat them up.
Eat them up, Lions. Yeah, I really liked what they were doing, getting both Monty and Gibbs involved in that run game. That is
nasty.
Yeah, that team's dangerous at the right time. The only thing that I want to see is more involvement with Jameson Williams, because once that dude gets unleashed.
Well, he had a touchdown that they called back on a phantom. They called a low block on our offensive line, and the offensive lineman, if you watch the replay, he never even touched the guy, never even made contact with him, and they called it. And Jameson Williams had a touch. It was a beautiful play, but we ended up scoring anyway, so it was kind of relevant. But it does suck for him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully they can keep getting him involved. They got a lot of weapons and a lot of guys to get the balls to, but
when no one's defending Amon-Ra St. Brown, it seems to be a problem. I believe in our preseason episode, I picked him as one of my top 5 receivers in the league, and someone talked some shit to me about that pick because his stats are tending to back it up right now.
Yeah, they do. If I remember correctly, you gave
I had him over Stephon Diggs.
I didn't. Oh well, I had 5 receivers over Jamar Chase. So, yeah,
that's true.
That's true. Interesting time. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, this is Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast. You can follow us on all the socials at Tuesday Night TD Pod, TUESNIGHT TD Pod. We are available on Spotify. We're available on Apple. We're available on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, bet on these locks. And yeah, guys, that is it for us in week 11. Thank you for listening and good luck and good gambling.
See you, everyone.